All right, we are officially off. Thank you so much. Bess Crumpton decided to join us today. Many of you might see Bess in the Facebook page. Many of you probably follow her on Instagram, so we can talk about that. But you may not know that Bess also works for the Primal Health Coach Institute. She's the lady behind the money. She's our accountant. I just thought this was a phenomenal opportunity for you guys to hear from Bess in terms of, hey, I'm already holding down a full-time job. How do I get a business started while I'm holding down a full-time job? And so Bess has done a phenomenal job of that. But I don't want to steal your thunder, dear. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what brought you to health coaching and about the certifications you have and all that?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me on, Laura, to start. But like many people probably on this webinar, I kind of had a mini health transformation myself. And I grew up always being a super, active kid. I was, played 3 sports in high school and so was always running around, didn't really pay much attention to what I was eating, like most high school kids don't. And I went to college and focused a lot less on the sports side of things and, more on, we'll say, unhealthy choices.
And wasn't academics?
Really,
no?
I was really into the whole college experience and came out with my accounting degree and got my CPA and started working in public accounting and did that for about 3 years and actually really liked the work, but was just traveling a ton. And I, was working late nights, was eating a lot of takeout food, and really, again, had never really done anything with my diet. And I specifically remember having this moment, and I was maybe 26 years old, and it was one of the rare days I was in the office, and I was sitting there kind of trying to catch up on client work papers. And I was just like achy and kind of sore from nothing because I certainly wasn't working out at the time. And, I found myself having a hard time focusing on things. And I remember having the specific thought of this must be what people are talking about when they say they feel like they're getting old. And as soon as I had that thought, it kind of hit me. I'm like, I am 25, 26. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was in my mid 20s when I should be feeling my best and probably my most active. And I just felt terrible. And for the first time in my entire life, I was, didn't feel at home in my body. And that was something that I had never really felt before. And so I decided I kind of needed to make a change. And so for me, like a lot of people, I kind of turned to the gym. And so I joined a gym again and started doing CrossFit and did that for about a year. Well, and at the same time, I switched jobs. So I decided I needed something that was going to be where I could be home more. Because at the time I was leaving on Monday morning, flying out somewhere, usually coming back on Friday afternoon, 3 months out of the year, working in the office on Saturday, and then packing up and redoing it again the next week. So I was just not really living in the city that I was living in. And so I switched over to work for the public utility in town, which here was Duke Energy, and was doing regulatory accounting for them and had a lot more after work to really kind of devote to at least making a few changes. So for me, my stress level went way down, making that change. And then I started going to CrossFit, did that for about a year, and I felt a little bit better, but I didn't see, enough changes for the amount of work that it felt like I was putting in. And, I still had kind of I didn't have very good mental clarity. My digestion after meals was less than optimal, I would say. And I just kind of thought that was normal. And then one January, my CrossFit gym was doing a New Year's challenge where you could pick any diet that you wanted. And there was kind of the nutrition piece that you kind of did on your own. And then there was a workout piece where you did a baseline workout at the beginning of the challenge and did it again at the end of the challenge. And they had a bod pod. And so they kind of took your body measurements at the beginning of it, and then they were going to take them again at the end. And so it was this was probably 10 years ago or so. And so I decided to do the paleo diet. That was kind of gaining steam at the CrossFit gym at that time. And I was like, I could try this for a month and kind of see what happens. And So I did, I tried it for a month, and I thought it was going to be a month, and everything changed. It was like, as we all know, like digestion got better. All of a sudden I could focus for like hours on end without having to get up and move around, which probably wasn't good either, but from a mental clarity perspective was really nice. And I had tons of energy, which I didn't realize how bad my energy was until I got it back. And then when I would go to sleep at night, I was sleeping better than I had, then who knows when. It was the best I was sleeping that I could remember. And so I was blown away at the changes. I'm like, I've been doing everything wrong. Like I've been focusing on the gym, busting my butt in the gym. And this is the tips. So I kind of realized that, for me, it was like, I just wanted to learn everything I could at that point. So I started, Mark's Daily Apple was really at that point where I was getting most of my information. So I spent kind of the next 3 years just trying to learn as much as I could on my own, for my own benefit while I was still working at Duke. And it got to a point where I wanted to put some more schooling behind it. And so, and my thought behind that was, I just kind of wanted to see where it would go. I kind of had health coaching in the back of my mind, not really knowing what health coaching was at the time, but I, thought if I could notice this big of a difference when I didn't even realize I needed a big change, like how impactful could that be for other people? And so I enrolled in the NTA and went through their program to become an NTP. And my plan at the time was to kind of do that alongside my accounting work at Duke. And I got into that certification about a month and realized I wanted it to be more than what I knew it could be if I was still working there. And I also knew myself, and I knew that if I still kind of had that cushy corporate job, I probably wasn't going to devote the attention needed to try and start my own business. So once I decided that I wanted it to be more than just kind of something I did every once in a while, I decided I remember having a conversation with my now husband, just saying, I feel like I need to be open to opportunities that present themselves.
Yeah.
And he's like, totally, you should absolutely be open to opportunities that present themselves. And literally 2 days later, an email came through Mark's Daily Apple that said, hey, our Primal Health Coach brand is looking for an accountant. And when it came through, I was like, oh gosh, I just had this conversation that I need to be open to these opportunities. And I got really, really nervous, but I put in my resume for that and had a conversation with the lovely folks at Primal Health Coach. And within about 2 weeks, I was headed over there to do some accounting work for them, which was fantastic because, as you know, this is a health coaching school. And so they were super supportive of also being able to do health coaching alongside the full-time job. And for me, that was really nice because I was okay taking a pay cut. I was at a point in my life, I didn't have kids. I, really just needed to worry about me. And so I was okay taking a pay cut, but I wasn't okay starting from zero. And I would consider myself to some degree a risk taker, but I wanted it to be a calculated risk. And I didn't want the added stress of needing to, I didn't want to stress about my bills. So I wanted to have something that I knew could cover the basics and then, also allow me to do what I wanted to do, which was to start a health coaching business. And so it was a great fit because Primal was kind of how I had gotten started. And then I was able to take the Primal Health Coach certification course as well. And then later the level 2. And now I've been coaching folks. I think I got my first client in January of 2019. And so now here we are.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Love it. Gosh, there's so much in there. And so if there's anybody, Terry is piping in saying, I will take a pay cut. Are you guys hiring a customer support rep or something similar? We'll talk about that in a couple minutes, actually. So a couple things that really stuck out to me there that I know resonated with me and the position I was in, and likely people listening here, where, you find yourself in this profession that you've spent all this time and money and education investing in. And then you find yourself like, what do I do now? How do I make this switch? My degree was in elementary education, but I spent over 2 decades in finance. And there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of just like boots on the ground education. And I fought like a dog to get to where I was. And it was hard for me to leave there. But when at the end of the day, it's not serving you both personally and your own health, but then also at the end of the day, what you really want to be doing when you find this passion, I eventually just left. But again, like you, I did it as a calculated risk. I had money in the bank, right? So where you sort of downsized to a position that required less time, that was still going to give you your baseline, like kind of what you need in terms of just expenses. And then the rest is up to you to kind of really let it grow. For me, it was, do I have enough money in the bank to subsidize my income for a while to get going? And that's when we opened our gym. So gals, when you're thinking through this, Erin and I have been the first ones to tell you, you do not have to take this magic leap into the unknown. Think through kind of what you might need to be prepared for and take all risks can be mitigated and reduced to some degree. There's no reason to take this big, massive risk. And by the way, like enrolling in a health coaching program for me, I don't know about you, but that was not a risk. To me, that was like my only hobby. It was all I did.
Well, and I remember thinking, if I only use this for myself and my family, like it will be worth it. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, like making that leap, it made me really uncomfortable. But I also knew that I needed to be uncomfortable to light a little bit of a fire to make sure I did what I wanted to do. And if I was still there, for me, and know yourself, right? First and foremost, for me, it wasn't going to happen if I stayed there. I just wasn't going to I needed to be a little bit uncomfortable. And it's like, we say this all the time, right? With coaching clients, is like, you want them to have some skin in the game. And so for me, taking a pay cut was that skin in the game that I really wanted that was going to keep me motivated to try and really turn it into something.
For me too, it was kind of like a plan B. I knew that if I really had to, I could go back to where I was. I was well regarded. I had a lot of friends in the industry, and I knew, but dude, that plan, I didn't want that plan B. I knew I had it if push came to shove, but I did not want that.
And I'll say that too. I also knew that, if anybody else in here is in the accounting profession, like it's not that hard to find a job in accounting. And I had, when I told my bosses at my Duke job, this is what I'm doing, all of their responses were, I'm glad you're running towards something and not away from us. And I hope that it works out exactly how you hope it works out. But if it doesn't, no, you can come back here. And, just having that kind of plan B takes the edge off just a little bit.
It does. And I've seen people find this in other partnerships where they've wandered into, people that have graduated from a course, they're now certified, and they just, again, I'm convinced a lot of this has to do, I don't want to say karma, that sounds too woo-woo, but look, if for every step you take is like a ripple in a pond, right? That it sends something else out there, that the more you put into this, the more you're going to get back. It's not going to happen immediately necessarily, but at some point, someone's going to cross your path. And this is something else I wrote down, be open to opportunities. Mm-hmm. A relationship, an opportunity will cross your path that would never have been there if you hadn't taken these other initial steps. Right. So for me, when it was being able to make this switch, if I had never taken the course to begin with, if I had never gone through the steps of building a program for no one, I had no program. I had no clients at the time. I did bring on a couple of clients and I had no program, and I decided not to do that again because it was way too stressful and it was too much work from client to client. But having taken on those clients like that, I had a general framework now in my mind as to what I did wrong with them, what I might want to do right the next time, and moving forward. But it's about taking those steps that then delivers opportunities and relationships. So I've talked to people that have found other collaborative partners to kind of, now you are both going into business together and you're sharing not only the expenses, but the opportunities and the risk. I've also seen people move into jobs within the either health coaching or healthcare or fitness industry, where maybe they are a salesperson, but they move to a salesperson with a supplement company that loves the fact that you have that health coaching background. And wants to encourage you. That's the one thing we love about PHCI. And the only reason I came here is because they wanted me to keep my coaching practice. They love the fact that I owned the gym. Mark loved it, and they want, everybody that works here is a health coach, and we're encouraged to continue to grow that business. So, Sheila's saying, took the course, never believing I would become a health coach, but here I am. And ta-da!
Way to go, Sheila.
I love it. Yay, Sheila Docker. Awesome. But so the point is being open to opportunities. So, and I've also seen, this is coming up on the scene a lot now too, is jobs for health coaches. So I will tell you, bear in mind, the ones that we're seeing that are really paying relatively well, like 90 grand, for the role we're in, they're going to require that you're also a nurse or an RD or something like that typically. Okay. But some of the other ones this is where I'm willing to kind of take a pay cut where it's enough to cover my mortgage, but I better hustle to get the rest of this done, is some of these jobs in the $50,000, $60,000 range that can pay some of those bills, but you're not comfortable there. But you're practicing your health coaching and you're getting out there, and you very quickly realize why you wanted to go to business for yourself. I think for some of these jobs where you're running somebody else's program and you're thinking of what you would do differently. I was talking to someone she was at the Metabolic Health Summit and at KetoCon, and she's working for kind of a keto related coaching program that she's working for. But some of what they're doing, this is the program. There's really not a whole lot of deviation to it. She doesn't like that, but now she's got some chops. She's got some relationships. She's enrolling here in this course. And the plan is to get out and do something on her own. So every single step takes her closer.
Totally. And the other thing why I knew this was a good fit for me in terms of kind of doing both was I wanted it to be able to grow organically. I wanted to be able to have a couple clients under my belt, learn what worked and what didn't work with those clients, and not feel like I was constantly having to have, this influx of clients all at the same time. One, because I knew that was going to overwhelm me being a new coach. But also that's just, I'm not good at getting out on Instagram and promoting my stuff. I do it, but it doesn't feel, it's not my favorite thing. So I'm just not great at that. So being able to have both allows me to kind of let it grow organically. And then, now most of my clients are coming from either a networking group that I'm a part of or referrals from past clients. And then those are going to be the ones that are better fits anyway for me and how I operate.
I see you shaking your cute little booty out on Instagram.
I try.
A lot of credit. I have yet.
It feels uncomfortable, but I do it.
It's interesting for me. Instagram Facebook is more just about lifestyle. This is the lifestyle I live and share what I can here and there, but I don't really use it to get clients. But like you, mine has organically grown mostly through circles that I travel in. And I moved down to Florida. It's been less than 2 years. I've had multiple clients here just because I talk about what I do all the time. And the next thing you know, two neighbors are talking, and I'm walking with my girlfriend Molly. Oh yeah, Sandy was just telling me she meant to call you, because now they know what I do and referrals and so on. So we've got some other things coming in. So I love this. And Blake and I chatted before he enrolled. I plan to add health coaching as an additional offering at our regenerative farm. We started our journey with Weston A. Price and are thrilled to have discovered PHCI. So that's going to be really exciting to hear about where that all comes down to. Bethany, I've gotten most of my clients from extended network on LinkedIn, weirdly. See, all these new places, none from Insta, just but I think, so I would love your kind of position here on Insta, because I do see you're on there. Do you view that as really more of just social proof? I'm telling you, this is what I do. So kind of here's my website and, see me on Instagram. And so it kind of perpetuates your story. Do you mind speaking about it?
Yeah, for me. So I do get some clients through there, and I have a one-on-one coaching program, but then I also run a group challenge a couple times a year. And I get more people for the group challenge through social media platforms. And then and so that's kind of my low ticket offering. And then some of those go on to become one-on-one clients. But I also, and really more in the last 6 months, maybe it is from Reels, which is kind of crazy, but I have been getting more people through Instagram than I previously did. So I keep it out there just because when I have time to do it, I can throw a couple things out there. It's not something that I devote a whole lot of time to. But I have it, same thing for social proof, just to show, if somebody's not going to my website, then they can at least find me on there.
Yeah, I love that. And a couple people here have said the main platform is LinkedIn. So, I mean, I think if you want to get, especially if you want to get away from the whole, like, I just want to drop, like, I want to drop 20 pounds in a month and, this whole bikini body craze thing. If you want people that are really interested more in health, and then, not that there's anything wrong with wanting to look good naked, nothing wrong with any of that kind of stuff. But I definitely think folks that are far more serious about health in particular, LinkedIn's a great spot. Chris Pryor is giving you some props. Best can dance.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
The best of them. Yes. So Andrew's saying, I have been a personal trainer for many years. I had a heart attack in late July. Yikes. I've been focusing on working with clients with special needs and Parkinson's. I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. Am I barking up the right tree? I want to create something positive for my life. Heavy. Thank you for sharing that, Andrew. So let us know, is there a question in there? Or do you just kind of want some feedback from the coaches here on, so I'm interested in hearing what you mean by, I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. So speak a little bit more to that, but while he's hopefully replying, Bess, talk a little bit, if you don't mind. So how did your own health journey inform your business and sort of what you built?
Yeah, for me, so I had done a couple like short duration challenges, and I probably, didn't. Everybody says start with one-on-one, and I did start with one-on-one, but it was just a couple folks or a couple clients here and there. But I launched a 21-day program really shortly after I kind of put my shingle out there that I was coaching people. And for me, that was because that was kind of what had started, the short duration challenge at my gym was what really kind of put me on the trajectory to change, not to sound dramatic, but my entire life and my career.
Yeah.
So for me, having a short duration program was really important. So I kind of modeled it after I had done a couple kind of different challenges. And to be honest, I just took kind of what I had learned from that, and I thought I could do it better. And so I took what I liked about those programs and used it kind of as a model. And then I added, the areas where I thought it could be better. I just, in my opinion, made it better and had that kind of be my 21-day program. And I still have that program today, although every time I ran it for the first 2 years, I completely redid it. And that was beneficial for me because I felt like I was making it better. But it was also a way in the beginning when I didn't have a lot of one-on-one clients, I might have had a handful, but I had the time to be able to devote to make this program better. So for me, it was like, it was important to have a short duration group challenge because that was what I saw so beneficial in the beginning.
Yeah. So do you think it's this? So this is where I have found those. I used to run them out of my gym all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That it was, we know we can move the needle metabolically for people in 21 to 30 days where people are like, I've never felt better. Right. So enough that, and don't get me wrong, plenty of those people are like, I can't wait to eat a donut. I've never felt better, but I can't wait to have a donut.
Totally.
So, but what I found is those people were often the ones that eventually come around to take this more seriously. If I ran a little bit of so I would do like this 21 or 30-day deal. And the next thing you know, I had like an 8-week class that I was teaching. Again, still groups, but people were going to show up at the gym and they were going to sit down for class and they learned something new that week. And we were talking about everything, and it became kind of like it's not as long as my one-on-one, but that was plenty long.
Yeah.
And that was a higher ticket item, not super high, but it was, I don't know, I think I charged $400 or $500 for it, and then that again became a feeder for, it's almost like a funnel, right? You've got all these people that are willing to give you whatever it is, $99 for 30 days, for a transformation. And then the next set of people are going to be like, that was awesome. How do I keep going? They might be willing to re-up for either just your one-on-one or just take another step a little bit more and invest a little bit more. So not everybody, you don't need everyone to work with you, right?
Right.
You just want the right people to want to sit down and work with you.
Absolutely. And I think too, I get a lot of repeat clients in those 21-day challenges just because they're kind of run on a cadence where it's nice to have a reset. Like I do them myself every time I run them. And it's just nice to have a group of people that are all trying to do the same thing. And, some of them continue on in between on their own. Some of them go on to do one-on-one coaching. Like Laura said, some of them go on to continue eating donuts and go back to doing exactly what they were doing. But I actually talked to somebody yesterday. So I run it at a couple of different places, and I do it online, but then I also have a couple places where I do it in person. And one of them is a country club in town. And I ran into the chef at the country club because he'll put together challenge approved meals, and they can come into the country club and, not have to cook that night. But he ran into someone the other day, and she was talking to him, and she's like, Mike, how are you? And he's like, I'm so sorry, but I don't, who are you? He didn't recognize her because she had lost 100 pounds. And she said it had started with the challenge. So it's like, yeah, and I didn't know that, right? She did 21 days, and I think she got into another challenge later on, but she did that all on her own. But it was just, she needed that impetus to get started. And so for me, it's reasons like that. One, it helped me really, a lot, but it helps people even without me knowing. And some people don't carry it on, but the people that it works for, it works for. So
isn't that interesting about how many people just go on to do so well, but you hear crickets, like you don't even know. And that can be a little disheartening, I think, sometimes for coaches when they're just not as fully aware of the impact that they're having.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, when I just need a little something to keep going, I'll get somebody in my DMs or messages just being like, hey, I saw your post on whatever, or thanks for that chat the other day. It really meant a lot to me, and this is what I did with that. So you just have to kind of keep moving because, Erin and I have talked about this on the podcast. People are listening. You may not realize it, but people are listening. So Judy's asking the questions on Primal Pro. So we can get into that, but you use Practice Better. So, but you use that out of the gate. It was before we ever,
I also use Coach Catalyst now. So I use both.
Okay.
I use I use Practice Better for pretty much everything, but I've transitioned my 21-day challenge over to Coach Catalyst because I like their functionality a little bit better in terms of being able to communicate with a group. Practice Better is constantly getting better, and I love Practice Better for 99% of what I need to use it for. I can run my 12-week program through there. I can keep all client notes on there. It connects to full script, and it connects, it has a lot of, it connects to, that's where I collect payment through. I do all my scheduling through there. So for me, Practice Better has been great because you're paying for one system, and you're able to eliminate the calendar, the external payment, and just a lot of different things. I kind of feel like it's a one. Sybil, I saw that she said Practice Better just launched new program features this week. I saw that, and I want to get on that webinar and see what all they've added there. But I think they do a great job too. I've reached out to them a couple of times about some features that didn't quite work the way that I was hoping they would, and they follow up when they fix it. And so I think for me, Practice Better has been fantastic because it's kind of a one-stop shop. It's a little bit confusing when you're first getting in there because there is a lot that you can do with it. But they have, if anybody's interested in Practice Better, I would highly recommend listening to the 1-hour webinar that kind of walks you through a lot of their features because that was really, really, really beneficial for me. And Sheila, does Practice Better do drip feed courses? They do. They absolutely do.
Yeah. And I wonder with these new features, because I've been trying to work with Practice Better to see if there's a way we could get our Primal Pro programming easy to implement on Practice Better. The functionality doesn't do the same thing, but I'm trying to figure out if there's a way through working directly with the folks at Practice Better, if they could say, well, this function does this function does this, and this is how this program might work on our platform. So we're working with them. I'm waiting to hear back from someone. I just put them through like a 2-week free trial of Primal Pro so they can see the functionality and what might be done. Because for those of you that are still a little unclear, Primal Pro is the name of the licensing of the content that we wrote. So it's a 12-week program. We've written 84 lessons, one lesson every single day. I forget how many actual messages, because there is an outgoing messaging function on Coach Catalyst. So we've kind of pre-written what seems to be these organic messages that your clients get maybe 3 or 4 days a week. All the resources are done for you. And Coach Catalyst allows for certainly that messaging, but also the ability to track compliance as well as tracking metrics and a bunch of other things. I know they just had some updates. And the reason we chose Practice Better is because it felt it did what we wanted it to do from the standpoint of what we wrote. So there's Primal Pro, which is the programming. And then Coach Catalyst is the platform it was built to work on. So what we're trying to do is provide the opportunity for you to be able to use Primal Pro on more than one platform, whether it's Coach Catalyst or Practice Better or something else. So that's going to be the 2.0 version of Primal Pro, is the ability to use any other platform. Right now, I guess you can technically do that. What you would need to do is copy paste the lessons out of the PDF we give you into the platform. But the nice thing with Coach Catalyst is it's literally a click of a button. And, so, and just an anecdote, look, I've been coaching for 10 years. I had my own program that I did through my gym, as well as, long story short, I have to rebrand my whole program. And I was letting that stop me from getting started now that I'm here in Florida. So I finally was like, why am I doing that? So I use Primal Pro with my clients down here while I work on rebranding all this other stuff for a very specific program that I'm working on in terms of women over 40 and strength training. Now I can kind of not continue to drag my feet, but really make that what I want to make it and still be able to honor the clients that are coming to me in the meantime.
Absolutely. And to kind of elaborate on that and answer Judy's question, since she asked how we liked our thoughts on Primal Pro. If Primal Pro would have been out when I was creating my program, I would have totally bought it. Or before I had created my program, I would have totally bought it, because I think it just gives you that starting place to then be able to iterate on it and make it your own. And it took, just like I rewrote my 21-day program several times. I've also written my 12-week program several times. And the first time is always the hardest. And I think that would have given me that baseline to be able to start from, and then tweak, how often I want messages to go out, or what, if it didn't sound like it was in my voice, make it so that it sounded like it was in my voice. But, because I do, Primal is my preferred approach, it would have been a great starting place. So I think Primal Pro is an awesome way to start right out of the gate.
Yeah. Thank you for that, because that's the reason we built it. I mean, initially the people that were buying this were brand new coaches that either were still in the course, but had clients that wanted to work with them. Coaches that had really just sort of graduated and were struggling with really taking what, the low tech version of what we gave them and taking it into prime time, so to speak. But then we started to get people like me that are established coaches that had a specific program that does a specific thing for a specific person, and had for years been, I don't know if it's really turning down other people so much as just, I don't really have a program that does that. So Primal Pro really served that, because it's such a phenomenal sort of general wellness program. Let's see. There was somebody else in here. Let me scroll up. Amy, real quick, Amy Swanson, love Primal Pro. The program flow is great, and you can go in and make your own, to your point. Yeah, my clients have loved it. All I really did is I went in and I deleted the recordings. As much as I love Erin's voice, it's fabulous. It's not my voice, right? So I just took out the recordings and I kind of left everything else as it is. So, but I've also got Allison asking you, Bess, how did you become a functional blood chemistry specialist? Do you have a medical background?
I did not have a medical background. So I took a program actually that another Primal Health Coach created, Michael Rutherford's program. And I thought it was awesome. And so if anybody is interested in, learning more about functional blood chemistry, I think his course is fantastic. And his company is Fundamental Wellness Institute, I think.
Yeah, he's gonna be a guest next month. So
on for the
October Coach's Corner. Yeah, and Mike is an example of a guy that was like delivering pizzas or something when I met him. Like when I first talked to him. Yeah. So when I first talked to Michael, he was still in the restaurant industry. He was thinking of becoming a health coach. His first niche was around truckers, because that's what his dad focused on. And now he took the NTA, NTP program as well, because where he lived in Oregon, his scope of practice allows him to do a little more, because it's kind of the wild, wild west out there. Right. So he really dove deep and it was able to use a lot of what he learned at NTA and found that there was this spot in the health coaching realm where health coaches are being asked to look at labs and have no freaking idea what they're looking at. So maybe you can speak a little bit, not that I necessarily think we should spend time selling his program. But I guess I'm great. Here's my question is, why did you opt to take that course? Was it just out of curiosity? And how do you use it as a coach? Because this is something that I think is important for coaches to realize, that just taking another course won't necessarily make you successful. Get out there, get your business going, and figure out what else you need to learn to take yourself to the next level. But you just taking course after course after course is not going to make you more successful out of the gate.
So totally agree. So I saw it as a add-on to what I was currently offering. And it was something that I was interested in, again, for myself. Like, I like to try and take, do some sort of continuing ed every year, whatever it is. And I like to do it in something that I'm interested in. And so I was really kind of debating between whether I wanted to do that or restorative wellness solutions, and just hopped on a couple webinars. But the way that I use it, I make sure to be very very open with my clients on that. I'm not diagnosing anything. I'm not, telling you that you have any, anything based on these labs, but what we are looking for is patterns that are consistently seen with some other things. So I try to be very upfront on how what we're looking at is very different from what they're looking at with their doctor. Your doctor is looking at it from a diagnostic perspective. I am not looking at it that way. This is just to help us try and figure out where maybe we could add on some additional support from a diet and lifestyle perspective, or potentially a supplements perspective, depending on the person. So for me, I had a lot of clients that were kind of asking if I did that, and I was interested in it, and that course presented itself, and it was a good fit for me. So does that answer your question, Laura?
It does, because I have multiple certifications and I've taken multiple courses, and we've got a whole bunch that are coming out specifically for this reason. But what I want people to, because there are some people that I can think of off the top of my head that are PhCs that have taken multiple courses and now are looking to go get like a master's in nutrition, but they still haven't launched their business.
Yeah.
Still haven't launched the business. So
yeah, the certification isn't going to give you the confidence to get out there and coach people. I think the only thing that gave me the confidence to get out and coach people and become comfortable was just coaching more people. And so I like taking the courses because it's things, it's topics that I'm interested in. And I think it helps me to be able to just have a wider breadth of knowledge. But as far as like, none of the courses gave me confidence to get out there and coach people. I think that came from just having a lot of conversations with a lot of different people in a client coach setting.
Yeah. So this is a question I try to ask everybody in terms of, how do you define coaching? Because, for every new person that I meet, when I say I'm a health coach, it's a kind of a blank stare. What does that mean? What are you, a nutritionist? What are you, a personal trainer? And I've got to just sort of define what I do. So I would love your thoughts on how do you describe coaching and what coaches do?
Yeah, I mean, in the most basic sense, I think a health coach is a conduit for change in the health realm. It's helping clients change their behavior and helping them kind of find the will within themselves to want to make those changes. So it's just really giving them an outlet to talk through what changes they want to make, and helping them, figure out what their strengths might be that are going to help them to, make that change, where some obstacles might be coming up, and really just kind of talk through the process. So that would be kind of how I define it, just a conduit for change.
Especially coming from like the gym space where I was, I would get people all the time that just wanted me to tell them what macros should I be eating, all this other stuff. And then of course I have to ask, why is that important to you?
And I think to some degree we'll always get that, right? We'll always get those questions from people who don't really know what coaching is. And don't get me wrong, in the beginning, I did a lot of just, information spewing on people. And I look back on the first couple clients that I coached, and it's kind of embarrassing to think about the experience that they probably had. I don't think they knew any different, because I don't think they truly knew what real health coaching was. But, the more clients that I got under my belt, and honestly taking the master coach course just really kind of allowed me to become a much more proficient coach. And really now clients are seeing results much faster than they did before, because they're meaningful results to them. It might not be where I would have chosen for them to go, but it's something that's important to them. And so those are the things that we work on, and their experience is more meaningful because they're setting, their goals each individual week.
Yeah. And you never know what direction clients are going to go. I mean, I had a coaching relationship with someone, again, set out, who is, she's closer to my age group, late 40s, early 50s. And she wanted some weight loss and just some other things that were on her mind that she wanted to move the needle on. And in the middle of all that, she has just a horrible, like, personal tragedy. And so many of our conversations were around her ability to navigate this and handle the stress that was coming with this tragedy, and kind of hold this. I had to, from session to session, hold this space for her to help her realize that caring for herself in this moment, even though she knew other family members needed her help, caring for her health is a part of her service to them. Because if she's unable to be there for them emotionally and physically because she's unwell, then she's not able to sort of fulfill that. And that, just having those conversations. So by the way, in a 12-week period, in the middle of all this happened, she didn't lose the weight she had wanted to lose by the end of that relationship. But what she told me was, I feel like I have the tools to get there and to continue. And she ended up actually just buying another 12 weeks, and by the way, I
think that's the great thing about the client-led coaching relationship is, even if I start with a 12-week program, but I also offer the ability for people to go on a month-to-month subscription after that. And I would say that 75% of clients do that, because as many of us probably know, that 12 weeks just isn't enough if you're really trying to make this a meaningful change and a lifetime change. And so it's like, you don't have to have, but I've found that for me, having that 12 weeks makes it easy to sell when I get somebody on the phone, because it's, they don't feel like they're having to make this commitment super long term, but then I give them the opportunity to be able to go month to month after that. And most people do.
Yeah, I love it. So Andrew's got a question here, because Andrew's thinking about jumping into the program, and I've got my thoughts on this, but I'd love to see if you have any. What advantage will getting certified as a health coach provide to my personal training practice?
Oh man, so I feel like it is what is missing in personal training. Like true health coaching is what's missing in personal training right now, because personal trainers get them for that 1 hour, and then health coaching can really help to bridge the gap of what they do in the other hours of their day. So those other 23 hours. And I just feel like having those meaningful conversations, if every personal trainer would learn how to be a health coach and truly coach them on what they want to do in between those sessions, I feel like they would move so much faster through the process to reach their goals. So I absolutely think it would be an awesome ad.
100%. And Andrew, we get a lot of personal trainers here for this reason, who have realized a couple of things. So first of all, some personal trainers are looking to your point, Bess, they're looking to help improve outcomes for the client, because they know at the end of the day, particularly if you've been a personal trainer for a long time, really when it comes to what many clients come to us for, which is fat loss, body recomposition, like diet's the name of the game. Like those bodybuilding, like those body competitions that you see with people. I mean, part of that's lifting, but that's a dieting competition. You've got to diet down to kind of show all that kind of stuff. And that there's too much of that, and it's so bad on the body. But from a personal training perspective, to your point, I mean, I owned this gym, and I had, however many couple hundred clients that were coming into this gym. The ones that were continue to ask me questions about all this stuff, or, hey, I've been coming and I'm getting stronger, but I really haven't lost the weight I want to lose. And then I have to have this conversation about, what have you done with how you're eating, how you're sleeping, how many days a week are you here? And they just sort of give me this blank stare, and I didn't realize it was this complicated. I thought I just needed to come in and exercise, and it was going to fix all my problems. And that's the exact same thing that you said is what I would say to them. I'm like, I've got you for an hour. And this is when I was,
and that's no fault of the personal trainer, right?
No,
but I think we just all know it's not necessarily that 1 hour in the gym is awesome. Yeah. But the other hours of the day are really where they're going to make impactful changes in their lives. And if you can have the conversation with them about their goals and how they're going to get to those goals, and what the what the hangups are going to be. And you can talk through that stuff at the end of your personal training session to set them up for success the rest of the week.
I can't even tell you.
The most popular personal trainer in town.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just helping them understand the impact of the other choices, the other behaviors and habits that they've built outside the gym are having on where they're trying to go. Understanding the impact. You did this amazing training session with them, and then they just went and ruined it because they decided to go carb load with pancakes. I used to get that. Carbo loading after my CrossFit workout. I'm like, you're here 3 days a week. You're here for you're getting 20 minutes worth of HIIT. You don't need to carb load. I don't. No, where did you hear that? Some Men's Health magazine, that's not relevant to him at all based on who he is as a person and what his goal is at the end of the day. So, it's the whole reason we wrote the Primal Fitness Coach certification is because we felt we needed to help inject some coaching into fitness. But the nutrition side of this, what I think you're going to find, Andrew, is the health coach certification is going to inject the nutrition and other lifestyle factors that you may need to bone up on in addition to the coaching and in addition to the actual business and kind of redefining what you do.
And the other thing I'll say on that, and this was my experience when I was making my change, is the fitness piece was kind of the catalyst for the rest of my change. So you have these people in this position where they're ready to make a change. And then it's the more that they're willing, they're in a position where they're ready to change. And so you have them at the most opportune time to be able to provide more value kind of outside of the gym as well.
Yeah. If there's anybody here that's also a fitness professional, kind of pipe out here, but I have found that you're going to find throughout the course of your coaching career that people are in various stages of change for various things. So to your point, you will find, especially if you're a personal trainer or gym owner or what have you, people that are ready for change as it relates to exercise. And so you can capture them there. And then it allows you to have that conversation about building a readiness for change around nutrition or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, being able to dabble in all the various aspects of what it means to be a health coach, whether it's food or movement or sleep or stress or mindset, it allows you to kind of bring your clients along in terms of positive change. We've got a couple other things here. Will the health coach cert make it easier to get clients? We will teach you how to be findable in our health coach cert. And Andrew, this is probably a great conversation for you and I to have offline about what I mean by that. And I can tell you my experience in terms of, again, people, well, what is a health coach? What does that mean? You're a personal trainer? And I have to have a conversation. People know what a personal trainer is. They don't really know what a health coach is. But when I'm able to sound far more well-rounded in terms of how I can help people when I'm in the gym, I'm able to add an additional service, make more money, charge more for my program, and all those things. You're very welcome. Amazing. Thank you for your time and energy in the Zoom class. I've taken Paul Chek's program design, way better than NASM, if you ask me. Yeah, there's a lot of different programs, different kind of fitness programs, health coaching programs that all have kind of a different focus and sort of a different approach to, what they do. But, we try to hold true here. And this is what I think Bess is alluding to in that master coach course is, the health coach, our broad general health coach cert. You've got that health and nutrition expert sleeve. You've got that coaching training, but in a self-study format. If you guys are not jumping on, thank you for being on this webinar, but we've got a lot of coaching role play webinars that Chloe hosts that are amazing way for you to continue to get practice in this skill set. And then you've got the business sleeve that really teaches you how to go out there and own this space. Get your business, your program out there, figure out what problem you solve, who you're solving it for, and build a program to do it. And Bess, I just feel like from when I met you and when you joined us to launching, this is, of course, the outside looking in. I mean, it seems to me like you were able to really tackle this in a pretty organized fashion and kind of know what you wanted to do and developed this. So, I know Bess has a hard stop at 6, guys, because she's got another call she's got to jump on. So if there's any other questions, pipe them in here now. But in terms of just for folks listening here, because I got to imagine many of them are holding down a full-time job right now. They're taking this course or they've graduated from this course and they're trying to figure out a way to kind of fit all this in and advance forward in a way that keeps them engaged and not frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have? Some tips, some words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think for me, my biggest strength when I was starting up my business was that I wasn't afraid to put stuff out there in terms of a program. I got a 21-day program out there really quickly. That I think my goal was to like enroll 40 people in that. And I think I got like 46 in that first round. And then, that grew to around New Year's, I'll get, 90 to 100 people in that program. And so and then, while I was doing that, I was okay putting things that were imperfect out there so that I could then iterate on them, because most of the time, as critical as we are of our own work, people on the outside looking in don't see all the imperfections that we see. So I think for me, one of my biggest strengths was that I was okay putting stuff out there that wasn't perfect and then making it better as time went on. And that allowed me to get clients, and then having the full-time job on as well allowed me to grow it at my own speed. So in the beginning, I may have only had, there were periods of time where I only had 2 or 3 clients, but now I keep about 12 to 15 on my client roster, and that's all that I want. So as long as, if people start to offboard, I'll do a little bit more on Instagram, or I'll start sending out my newsletters a little more frequently. I'm not great about doing things. In my opinion, I could be much more consistent on a lot of that outreach to clients, but because I have the full-time job as well, that it's not as urgent for me to kind of have people coming in all the time. So if I can keep 12 to 15 people on there, that is more than enough for me. And where that's between the two, that's about all I can handle. So I would say, like, don't be afraid to put things out there that you don't feel like are perfect, because if you're waiting for them to be perfect, you're never going to put it out there, because it's never going to feel like it is. So for me, I think that was the biggest thing. And then just being okay. One thing, and I'm glad I heard you and Aaron say this 1,000 times, completely changing your career and what you do. I was very comfortable in the accounting world, but switching over to health coaching was definitely out of my comfort zone. And if I'm being honest, I thought I would have a lot more clients a lot earlier than I did. And so just being patient with it was really hard for me, but I was really grateful to hear you and Aaron always talk about, it's going to take 3 to 5 years, really. And I think that 3-year mark really where things started to turn around. But, it's just like, you got to stick with it. If this is something that you want to do in the beginning, it's going to seem like you are doing you're putting in a lot of effort for very little outcome. But as time goes on, that switches. And it's like, it kind of comes out of nowhere when it does switch. But you're like, if you quit early on, you're never going to get to that point. So it's like just being patient and knowing that if you put the work in and the time in and continue to coach people, whether it's 1 person or 5 people or, however many people, that will continue to grow if you stay with it. And so the patience part was, I needed those extra voices in the background saying that, because that was a hard thing for me. But yeah, patience was probably the biggest key.
It's funny you say that. I was talking to, because I'm also like on the board of advisors for an advocacy group, the Holistic Council. And I was talking with Jonathan Posey, and he's been working with another organization that's trying to do more just survey research of health coaches and just naturopathic unlicensed practitioners. And, Aaron and I have been pounding the table that you've got to invest you have to invest time, money, and effort. Okay. So if you don't have enough time, you got to invest more money. If you don't have enough money, you got to invest more time or effort. Right. Yeah. And so all of these things, these are like sliding scales that you can play that'll get you to just how long it's going to take you to get going. The average person who's holding down a full-time job, plus maybe some kids, I don't know, and you're trying to get this thing started. If you think you can get this done in less than 3 years without spending a lot of money or not sleeping, you're nuts. But the average health coach quits in year 2. The average health coach hangs it up in year 2. So if you can hang in there through your first year, your second year, but not just, hey, I've got my shingle, but I'm doing nothing. See through that entire second year. You're absolutely right. Something gels in that 3rd year where things change. It doesn't mean that it can't happen sooner. It can, because I've seen people spend maybe an extra $5,000 on a business coaching program, or they manage to really, really spend a lot of effort networking and finding other professionals that they can sort of share this burden with, and things have taken off a lot faster. I've seen people that started this and they have existing relationships. So you're going to need to spend either time, money, or effort, a combination of those three, in whatever sliding scale that you have in terms of your own budget to make this work. But I have been pounding this table saying this takes 3 years to go full time.
Yeah, and you're right. And the other thing I'll add to that is, if Instagram is your thing, like focus on that and give it some time. If it's not, like find something else that works for you. Because for me, like I said, I get on there and I try, and I hope that eventually I'll get better at it. But I knew that wasn't my strength in the beginning. So I joined a BNI networking group, and that helped me to get out there every single week and say, my name is Bess Crumpton. I'm a health coach and nutritional therapist. And, this is how I work with clients. This is my ideal client. If you see them out there, like send them my way. And I got used to doing a couple things. I got used to not saying I'm a CPA and saying I'm a health coach. And it got me in front of large groups of people saying that this is what I did, so that when they came across somebody that fit what I said in that meeting, then they knew they could send them to me. And so if Instagram or Facebook isn't your thing, like there are other avenues out there that maybe don't get talked about as much. And that was one that really helped me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And Sheila saying, woohoo, I'm approaching my third year. Rock and roll now. Yes. I mean, so look, your first year, I feel like I'm talking until I'm blue in the face, but your first year, you are brand new. Bess just told you she wrote many iterations of that 21-day program until she really felt like this was great. But she didn't wait. She got it out there. And you said one of these programs, you had 90 to 100 people in one of your group challenges. I mean, that's amazing. So before I let you go, I want to ask you where you found those people. But I know we've only got 3 minutes.
Where I found which people?
The people for your group program, right? So if you're a new coach out there and you're like, I want to get started, low ticket item, get people running through my funnel. How did they find you? Is that all through Instagram? And what did you charge for that?
Yeah. So the first time I ran it, I still charge way too little for it. I will say that. But the first time I ran it, I only charged $50. And because I wasn't super confident in it, like I said, I just wanted to get it out there. But I put it out on Facebook, on Instagram. I think I created an Instagram account and put that out there. And then I also just sent it out to, I don't think I had my business email set up, but I sent it out to every single person that was just my friend that I knew, and told them what it was and sent them the sign up link if they wanted to join, and asked them to tell their friends. So it wasn't anything sophisticated. I didn't have a list of people to send it to really. So I just sent it to other people that I knew, whether they asked for it or not. And it wasn't on like my business email list. So I don't think I was violating any subscription laws, but that worked for me, and it got, 45 people signing up for it the first time around. And I was thrilled with that. And then those people did join my business email list. And that was like what started to help me grow my list. Now I'm not great at that either. I'll be the first to say that, but just doing these things and asking people for what you want. Like the worst they can say is like, no, I'm not interested. And it's like, okay, great. Then if you know anyone who is, tell them about it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got to let Bess go in a minute here, but Amanda's asking, I'm a brand new student. How soon should you start a social media account for this?
I would say go ahead and do it now.
Do it now.
Do it while you're a student, and just document what your day looks like, what you're learning about. Just the earlier, it's never going to feel like you're ready to probably get out there and talk about it and feel confident with it. But the more you do it, the more confidence you get. And so I would say just go ahead and get out there and do it.
Absolutely. You only get good at something that doesn't feel natural by doing it over repeatedly. And the example I use is my daughter, Sammy, and roller skates. She wanted to learn how to roller skate and she didn't know how, and she kept falling down, and she wore those stinking roller skates all day long for 3 days. She wanted to wear them everywhere we went. She would take them in the car with her. But you know what? She learned how to roller skate and she's like a little demon now. So this is something that you have to do repeatedly over time until it may not ever be second nature. Like you've been saying, do I enjoy being out there shaking my booty on Instagram? Not really, but I'm getting better at it and you're better at it. And
sometimes it's fun, sometimes it feels like a job, but sometimes it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. So get out there. So I'm going to let Bess go. I'll hang for 2 seconds if anybody else has any other questions. But Bess, thank you so much for just sharing you and being you. I feel fortunate that she's a coworker and a friend too. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for taking the time. So
you got it. Thanks, honey.
Bye.
Bye. But anybody has any other questions, let me know. But as always, the replay for this will go out to anyone who registered. We had 100 and almost 80 people that registered and about 50 that eventually logged in, but everyone will get this as feedback, not as feedback, as a replay. But let us know what else you might want to be hearing in terms of Coach's Corner content. So what this is meant to be is, just as we're saying, a conversation between health coaches talking about the business of health coaching, how they got started, what was running through their head, like where they went from being you, where you're sitting right now, to where they are now and what they're doing now. And we'll go from there. So if you guys want to jump, go ahead and jump. I've got another question. Allison, can we edit any content in Primal Pro and make it our own? Absolutely. You can edit almost just about all of it. So eventually you'll be, so one of the things, first of all, you're going to have to change the name. So you change the name, you can add your colors and logo. You can go in, I removed all of the recordings of Erin talking through it. And you can, if you want to, if you're industrious enough, you can record it in your voice and upload it in there. You can change any of the language within the lessons and within the messages. You can reorder them if you want to, change them around. We give you resources. Here's the things, the resources that we're giving you, it'll say like the primal food list. And my understanding, that's like in a PDF. You really can't edit that out of there. So I just use it when I tell my clients, this is what primal means. Primal means foundational, fundamental, primary. It's the term I use to describe these foods. So you're going to get this, you're going to see references to this term primal, and this is what it means. And oh, by the way, the man that I believe is my mentor at Mentored Me is a term he uses. So that's the way I explain that. But if you're a real stickler for it, you can build your own stinking PDF and have your own list of foods that's got your logo and your name on it and upload it in there. That's all in there. You can edit it full program wide, and you can edit on per client. So you can go into, like, you can upload somebody, you can add somebody to your broad Primal Pro program. And then if you want to go in and shorten it to 8 weeks or arrange things or add in extra messages or whatever, you can absolutely do that. Okay. So any other questions before I let you all go? All right. How did you explain primal again? I explained it that it means primary, foundational, fundamental. So that's the way I explained it, and that it was a term I used because the man that I followed and mentored and changed my life, that's the term he used. So that's the term I use. And that's the way I explain it to people. And they are like, okay, they don't care. My average client doesn't really know what primal means. They're not attached to the brand. But some of them are. Some of them find me because they know I'm a primal health coach. This does not come up very often, but every once in a while, I will get a call from someone who found me in the directory. So please, when you graduate from this course, you will be invited to register for the directory. Just do it. Even if you don't have your act together yet, even if you don't have everything perfect, register, get your contact information in there, because I got calls from people very early on, and I still do every once in a while. But the other thing is, as you become more organized and you have a website and you've got maybe a professional email or all these other things, go in and update it so that you look right. Because I know there are people that are registered in there that have been out 5 years, and the stuff that's in their profile is still the original stuff. So go in and update it. Here's the other thing. You are going to be asked to pick a specialty. Listing 20 specialties is the farthest from a specialty. It makes people feel like you're not a specialist in anything because you've listed everything. So just because you can help a lot of different people with a lot of different things, that's not your specialty. You're going to learn, if you're not there yet in the business section, pick your niche, right? Have and identify. So If you can pick one, awesome. But if you are a little like, there's like 3 or 4 things I really feel like I'm good at that I could say is a specialty of mine, that's fine. Just don't pick every stinking specialty on the list. Make it specific. Okay. But that's another sort of added bonus that you get for being here. Sybil, I update my profile all the time. There you go. Have got a business. Yep. I will call you, Andrew. Do you need to be a Primal graduate to enter into the directory, or do you mean for Primal Pro? Let's see. I think she wrote Primal Pro. Nope. So you can actually buy it while you're still a student. That's not a problem at all. Just get out there and start using it. Not a problem. All right. You guys were awesome. Super engaging. This was great. How great's Bess? She's awesome. And I just love her Charlotte accent. She's fabulous. And she's just a prime example of just a quintessential professional that said, look, I want to do this and I love it, but I kind of like what I'm doing professionally right now too. And I don't want to have to leave one to do the other. And she's been able to balance it beautifully. Another example of someone like that was Coach Becker, who actually owned his own business as a photographer and decided to start a second one. So we're going to hear more and more examples of stuff like this as we go on. If they're interesting and you guys show up, we'll keep doing them. But if there's anybody within the Primal community that you follow that you think I should have on here, let me know. Send me an email, just Laura@primalhealthcoach.com. Hey, Laura, I think, I'd love to hear so-and-so's story. Hit me up and I'll hit them up. All right. You guys are awesome. I'm going to let you go. You have a great night. Bye, guys.